Welcome to the Healers Café, conversations on health and healing with Dr. Manon.
So welcome to the Healers Café. And today I have the pleasure of having a conversation with Dr. Russ Rosen. And he has been the CEO of the Optimal Health Coaching System since 2000, where he has helped hundreds of doctors and natural health practitioners thrive in a true optimal health model. And he's led over 30,000 coaching sessions, spoken at 60 live events worldwide, and is the proud recipient of the, you're going to have to give me what that is, the CLA-CWA Lifetime Achievement Award for his patient care versus patient scare communication training. So I'm really looking forward to our conversation here. So welcome.
Me too, Dr. M. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, I think I love that patient care rather than patient scare, especially in these times. So it really is a root of what I believe is in patient care, which is not scaring people with all the like prognosis that comes with diagnosis in a very medically led sort of paradigm. So I look forward to learning more about what you do specifically. But before we start, what got you into healthcare yourself?
Yeah, I was in a very serious football accident when I was 8 years old, and my dad took me to a chiropractor who literally saved my life. It was going in for surgery versus not sure that's the way to go. Carried me out, doctor adjusted me, looked up and said, I'm going to do that when I grow up. And from that moment on, it's all I wanted to do.
Wow. And then you've been in practice now for how many years?
Yeah, wow. I practiced, let me see, I practiced as a chiropractor from 87 to 2000 in Maui. And then I just moved here in California a couple of years ago for the time being. I'll get back home at some point. And, I started coaching natural health care practitioners in my style of work, which is, how do you help people get healthy and stay healthy versus how do you just mask their symptoms? So for any type of healthcare practitioner that wants to help their patients get healthy and stay healthy by empowering them versus manipulating them, that's who I work with. And I've been doing that since 2000.
Great. And so tell us a little bit more about what this whole patient care versus patient scare part of what is it you mean by that?
Yeah, well, so much of what, especially in the chiropractic field, we have a lot of what we have learned, which is to manipulate people and to scare people. It's the subluxation, the silent killer. And it's about, if I manipulate you, I can get you to do the care you need. And it's all tied up in a pink bow, which is it's in your best interest. But as you and I know, the last thing I want to do is cause fear. In Love, Medicine, and Miracles, Bernie, what's his name? Bernie of Love, Medicine, and Miracles, he said, look, I tell people all the time that they do have cancer, but I tell them in the same breath that I'm going to introduce you to 5 people today who had the same thing that you have, who have healed themselves. And he said, as far as I'm concerned, the ones who die are the ones that allow the fear to set in. So for me, it's all about empowering people and being honest with them, being transparent, being truthful, but learning how to communicate with them in a way that helps them really get it. And unfortunately, so much of what we learned is to educate people, and it doesn't work. It just simply doesn't work. So I really got into the neuroscience of communications which is a different way of helping our patients get what we do. And my experience is if they really get what we do, they probably want what we offer, and they'll happily stay, pay, and refer for a lifetime if they really get it. Unfortunately, most don't really get it. So my whole world is about how do we learn the neuroscience of communications and apply it to however it is that we practice.
So just to clarify on that point, I mean, from a marketing perspective, when I talk to some of my students, I'm always saying, well, let's talk about the benefits for them. Why would they bother doing the treatments? Like, what's in it really ultimately for them, as opposed to, hey, let me tell you about this modality. It works this way, and and then you get completely lost in the weeds. Are you meaning that to a level, or are we talking about more than that?
Yeah, that's the beginning of it, and it's a lot more than that, but it's absolutely true. Look, here's the deal. They don't care. They don't care about Tom Bowen. They don't care about D.D. Palmer chiropractic. They don't care about, naturopathy. They don't care about any of that. They don't. All they care about is, I want to feel better as fast as possible for the least amount of money. And I've worked with doctors all over the world, literally all over the world, and people are the same everywhere. Yeah, there's different cultural differences, but in general, I want to feel better as soon as possible for the least amount of money.
Mm.
So what we have to do is learn how to communicate with people so we can help them get our entire story. So unfortunately, so many people come in to see us, well, fortunately, unfortunately, because they're in pain and they want to get out of pain. But here's my question. If somebody recognized that you could help them get out of pain, but you could also help them resolve their problems, and you could help them get healthy and stay healthy, and you could help them have a better life, would some of them be interested in that also? And the answer is yes. You and I both know that.
Yeah.
I read up on you, so I know that, right? And so the deal is that I can just meet them here. I will help that feel better, but we're doing them a disservice if we recognize how much more we can do for them. The problem is this is a big gap. It's like the Grand Canyon. So it's like saying, Dr. M, hi, I see you're on the other side of the Grand Canyon. Please jump. It's too far of a leap. So we have to learn how to communicate with them to stretch their consciousness so they understand the value of what we truly offer them. And then all we have to do is find out what they want. So we literally plant seeds along the way of what we can do for them. So we use this path to optimal health, which is -10 is near death. And we know it because you're in hospice care. 0 is comfort. You're feeling good, but you're not functioning at your optimum. You're not really healthy, but you feel good. And then there's optimal health. You're as healthy as you can be. And we have to take them through a series of steps to help them recognize where they're truly at, find out where they truly want to get to. And if they just want to get to here, far out, that's okay. And if they want to get healthy and stay healthy, that's okay too. What's not okay is to not let them know the difference between the two and what you can truly do for them, at least from my perspective.
Oh, I totally agree. And honestly, I've been guilty of that. When I first thought, oh, well, I'll be doing Bowen therapy for pain elimination. They're coming in for pain. I can help them get rid of pain. And then and I know that there's so much more. I mean, it was like, they said, well, they feel great. So, and then I kind of let it go at this point. This is in the beginnings of my practice. And I realized that it was already difficult for them to believe they could get rid of pain. That's already one big obstacle. The other obstacle is that we can thrive and we can actually live the life that we create.
That's right.
And this part is, I wasn't there, so I couldn't, as a practitioner, share that part. Thankfully, that changed. I grew into more consciousness myself, which allowed me then to see that and to stand for that.
That's right.
For people.
And it's so simple to help them get that bigger picture. hopefully we'll jump into that today of how to do that. It takes
Yeah, go ahead. Let's take over.
to do it. I would just say if somebody had a subluxation chiropractor, if somebody had a fascial, imbalance or a blockage, and let's just say it was in their calf, right? Could that affect their gait? Yes. And if it affected their gait, could it affect their pelvis? Yes. And if it affected their pelvis, could it affect the nerves? Yes. And if it affected the nerves, could it affect their motor, sensory, and autonomic systems? Yes. And I mean, it's just like, the ankle bone's connected to the knee bone is connected to the hip bone. The hip bone's connected to the universe. And our job is to help them see that if there is an imbalance here, you're not a knee. You're a closed system. You're an entire human being, mind, body, and spirit. And yes, you have a knee pain going on, but that may not be where the problem is located. That may not be what we need to do to resolve that problem. You could have a fascial, constricture going on here that when this unwinds, everything unwinds, and now your knee is feeling better. So what I like to do, and it just depends on how you work and the umbrella of how you work. So I work with doctors who are chiropractors and naturopaths and osteopaths, and and they do all these different styles of work. And it's just like, these are all the tools. These are the tools in my toolbox.
Right.
But my one single goal is to help you get as healthy as you would like to get. And I'll use whichever tool is appropriate for you. I may do neuro-emotional work. I may do spiritual work. I may do physical work. I may do spit, pee, and poop tests and do more of functional medicine kind of work and nutritional work. It doesn't matter. It's all, what am I doing to get the system to come back to homeostasis, balance, and optimal health again. And so that fits in with your model and for your listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really important to see that this model, it so does not depend on the modality. It's the framework in which the modalities fit in.
That's it. It's the framework. Yeah. Thank you. That's beautiful. And that's why it doesn't matter, again, with all the different practitioners that I coach, and I work with health coaches and epigeneticists and, all kinds of stuff. It doesn't matter. Do you need to communicate the value of your work to another human being who is in need? Yes, I can help. I mean, it's as simple as that. So let's take a look at this. It's called the neuroscience of communications, and it's based on when you and I have an average conversation, we will both hear about 25% of what the other person is saying. Some of the time I'm thinking of how I would reply to you. Some of the time I'm thinking I'm distracted with something else. Some of the time I'm thinking I had to pick up, eggs to go, and we start like not really hearing and seeing much. And my question is, you as a practitioner, how much of your information that you need them to understand about how you can help them, how much of your information would you like them to understand?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, my role is really, the way I see it, is listening. It's really listening to where they're at, and then seeing how I can move the needle in the direction of where they want to go, or getting them to clarify, to stretch slightly more than their expectation in that sense, to really commit. So that's kind of where I go. So it's not a pat answer for every single case or people that come in.
No, not at all. But at some point, you've got to communicate with them, where you have to hear and then give information back. And my question is, how much of your information would you like them to hear? And the answer is 100%.
Oh, I see it. I see what you're saying. Yeah, of what I want to share, how much I want them to actually understand.
Yeah, what do I want them to hear? Because they're only going to hear 25% if I don't do something different.
Correct.
So the way we do something different is the neuroscience of communications. And that is based on this concept that the reptilian brain, survival, is going to filter all information coming in. It's going to either A, filter it out and we won't hear it, or B, it'll send it to the neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. If it makes it to the neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving, it'll get dropped into the limbic system as a new belief system. They'll either believe what you have to say or they won't. But either way about it, it's going to end up over here. The problem is with the filtering. So you can imagine you have a brand new parents and they have a baby and they're laying down and they're in New York and there's sirens and there's trains going by and they're sleeping just fine and their baby cries and they wake up. That's the reptilian brain. It's saying this is important. There's hundreds of thousands of impulses per second coming into the brain, but only a handful that are making it up for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving.
Right.
The trick is, how do I get my information to get past your filter into your neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving? How do I do that? Well, here's the deal. What we were taught was to educate. Dr. M, I'm going to educate you. I'm going to tell you about Tom Bowen. I'm going to tell you about the way I work, right? And that's me speaking from my neocortex to your neocortex, but we know 25%. If I want you to get 100%, I need to quit speaking from my neocortex to your neocortex. I need to speak from my neocortex to your reptilian brain. So why do I need to speak from my neocortex to your reptilian brain? Any idea?
I think because we're wired to self-protect. So, and I think because you'll feel the emotions. I mean, I'm not sure where you're going with it, but yeah.
So let's look. If I speak from my neocortex to your reptilian brain, and your reptilian brain finds it important, it'll send it to the neocortex.
Right. Okay.
For thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. That's why I need to speak here, so it'll send it here. We keep thinking if I speak and educate you, it'll get there, but it has to go through the filter first. So why don't I just learn to speak to the filter? So the filter is filtering information. It's all about the 3 F's: food, fighting, and fornication. Probably not good ideas to do with your patients. So if we're going to get our information past the reptilian brain, we have to make it new, novel, and exciting. We have to make it about them. As you had talked about earlier, what do they care about? They care about them, right? So if I can, one of the best ways, and we won't have time to go into this now, normally I like to, but we have a shorter period of time, but in the consultation, I go into how do we listen in the consultation? How do we ask the appropriate questions to engage the reptilian brain so that we're educating them while we're asking Socratic questions? How do we do that? And it's very simple. Again, I don't have time at this moment, but that's what I'm going to do. So how do I get the information to the neocortex? I'm going to make it new, novel, and exciting, which means, Dr. M, I'm going to make this conversation about you. I'm not going to make it about Tom Bowen. I'm not going to make it about chiropractic. I'm not going to make it about naturopathy. I'm going to make it about you. So you're interested because you're talking about you. And you're talking about you. You're excited. You're interested, especially if you get to talk about your pain and your problems, because no one else will listen. But I'm listening. So you're engaged.
Correct.
Now, if I make it new, novel, and exciting, and I ask Socratic questions, Dr. M, what's your last name?
Bolliger.
Okay, Bolliger. I love the way you say that. Did you already know that, or was that new information to you?
No, that I already knew that.
You already knew that. So that's not a Socratic question. We've all heard the term Socratic question. A Socratic question is a question that makes people go like this. What? So let me ask you, why do you think this happened? Why do you think this isn't getting any better? Why do you think this hasn't resolved? What level of health are you at? What level of health do you want to get to? That's a Socratic question which makes people think. Now, when you ask a Socratic question, you will see them do this. They'll look at you, you'll ask them the question, and they'll do this. Yeah, I think that is what brought it on. And when they look up, they're literally sending your information to their neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving, and then they drop it into their limbic system. So as you had talked about listening in our consultation, we're going to draw their story out.
Hi, it's Dr. Manon, and I just wanted to take a moment, commercial break, to ask you to subscribe to my podcast and kindly leave a comment if you're enjoying this. And also, just to let you know, I have tips for people in health looking for solutions to just a variety of issues. It's more like an attitude of health, and they're entertaining short videos, and you can find those under drmanonbolliger.com/tip. The link is here, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Story out of them. I'm going to draw your story out of them by Socratic questions. I'm not telling you anything. I'm simply pulling your story out of you. And then I'm taking my story, I'm applying it to your story.
Right.
And this is now your story. And you will drop it into your limbic system. And once it's in your limbic system, it's your belief system. It's not Dr. Russ said, it's, oh, this makes sense. So far, so good?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's funny. The way you're describing it feels very intuitive to me.
Yeah.
But it's brilliantly explained. It's like exactly.
because you're doing a lot of this. I just like to teach it by design, such as in a consult.
Yeah.
We're going to build rapport. We're going to relieve concerns and fears. Like, why do I want to build rapport? So that you trust me and you know me. Because if you don't, you won't send anything to the neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. I'm going to relieve concerns and fears. How come? Because if you're in your amygdala, fight or flight, you won't send information to the neocortex for thinking, reasoning, and problem solving. I'm going to find out why you're truly here. There's only one of three possible reasons. And I'm going to ask Socratic questions. We're going to find out which one it is. So you now really know a bigger picture of why you're here. I'm going to find out, like, it's by design. There are 6 questions I'm going to ask in a consult. I know exactly what I need to accomplish. It happens very, very fast. And I've now taken you to a new level of understanding because I've applied my story to your story. Here's an example. We've been talking about how this is affecting your life. Let's say it's golf and you want to be able to golf. And if I were to say, so if I understand it correctly, you don't just want to feel better so you can golf again, but you'd like to resolve this once and for all so you can continue to golf. Is that true? They will go like this. That is true. I drew their story out of them. I would like to golf. I applied my story that you'd like to resolve your problem, not just feel better. And then I asked you, is that true? And this is now your story that I actually want to resolve my problem. So in the consult, there's 3 different ways we start planting seeds for when we eventually ask them, do you want to just get feeling better knowing that you haven't fully resolved it and that's okay for you, or do you want to get as much resolution as possible? We've already planted seeds in so many different ways that they completely, when we get here, they just go, well, of course I want to resolve it, assuming that's their truth. And if they don't, and that's okay. So far, so good?
Oh yeah, great.
All right. So we're running on time here. So I'm gonna speak fast. Everybody listen fast. So what I want to do is just show in the examination, how do we shift their consciousness and go from feeling to function? And it's really simple. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the word subluxation. It could be blockage. It could be interference. It could be neural interference. It's just whatever it is that you do with people. So, and I'll go back and forth between say it were subluxation and say it was a fascial blockage. So that'll work with Bowen's work, a
Sure.
fascial blockage? Okay. So what I do is I have this brochure and it says, do I have a health problem or a back problem? So when somebody comes in, neck pain, headaches, I want to shift their consciousness from back pain to health because it's honest, it's true, right? All right. So I'm going to use this phrase. Oftentimes, if you have a subluxation or fascial imbalance causing blank, we'd expect to see blank, and that would make sense because blank. I'm going to connect their chief complaint to the nervous system. I'm going to talk motor, sensory, autonomic, and then I'm going to prove my case. The same phrase over and over and over. So I'm going to just walk you through this.
Okay. Yep.
Let's assume somebody had headaches. We've already done our consultation. And I'd say, Dr. M, show me where your head hurts. And she goes, right there. And I'm going to touch it. And I'm going to say, you know, oftentimes if you have a subluxation or fascial imbalance causing these kinds of headaches, we might find a tender spot there. Is it tender there? Why, yes, it is. I think we may have found an underlying cause of your problem. And it would make sense because this nerve goes right to there. So if you've got nerve irritation or fascial imbalance or blockage here, it could be causing a radiating pain right there. And they go, wow, that's new, it's novel, it's exciting. You're talking about me, you're talking about my health. They're fully engaged. So it's sending it to the neocortex for thinking, reason, and problem solving. Now I'm going to make the picture a little bit bigger. And it's interesting, oftentimes when you do have that fascial imbalance causing that type of headache, we might notice, oh, let's see the window, we might notice, and then we have this chart. Spaciness, dizziness, mood swings, brain fog, eyes, ears, nose, throat, ADD issues. Do you ever get any of those? I get those all the time. Do me a favor. I want you to take your pen. I want you to circle C1 or this fascial area. I want you to circle headaches because that's your chief complaint. I want you to underline all these other things you have going on. So they're starting to see this connection between my health and my fascial imbalance. And then I'm going to say, well, that makes sense because the nerves don't just go here. The fascial imbalance doesn't just affect this, but it also affects all of this. I'm then going to connect that to another area. Let's say mid-back. Do you ever get any pain between the shoulder blades? Yes, especially towards the end of the day. Yes, how did you know? Well, when you have a fascial imbalance here, that's what we would expect to see. It makes sense because of the nervous system right there. But oftentimes we'll see gas, bloating, indigestion, heartburn. Do you ever notice that? How did you know? Well, because these nerves also affect the liver, gallbladder, spleen, pancreas, whatever it is you're talking about. And they go, oh my God, why didn't anyone ever tell me this before? I had no idea. So it's that simple to connect those dots for them. And then I just prove my case, but I'll use the same phrase. And I'll tell you, I made a link, the ohcsystem.com/MANON. So if you go there, I have a 84-minute detail of really how to do this because we just don't, I can't do it justice here, but you can go get that and you can actually get this too. I'll send that to you, or this if you like, I'll send you one of those. But if you go there, you get more detail, but I just want to show you how it all comes together, which is, okay, I see that I came in for headaches. It could be related to this imbalance. It also could be related to my other years of problems. Oh, it could be related to my other problems too. Wow, that's amazing. Then I'm going to prove my case. You know, it's interesting, Dr. I'm also, oftentimes if you have this kind of problem going on, the subluxation or fascial imbalance, we'll see a limited range of motion. Do me a favor, turn your head to the left. Turn your head to the right. Do you see that it doesn't want to go to the right? Well, that makes sense. I'm using the same phrase. That makes sense because when you're having that type of imbalance, those nerves cause the muscles to pull on the bones to protect the area. It's nature's collar. It's protecting the area, right? And then when it does that, it feels stuck and tight. Do you feel stuck and tight? Yes, I do. Then you must be what? Well, I must be subluxated, or I must have this kind of fascial imbalance. And we're literally drawing their story out of them. We're applying our story to their story, and we're dropping it in their limbic system. Then all we have to do, the last thing on the back is called, oh shoot, the sun's coming through, but anyhow, it's called the whole story right here. And so literally this is what it would be like in real time. Dr. M, we're going to play. You just circled C1 headache sinus, and you circled mid-back indigestion. That's what you circled on this form for me while we did your exam. So I'm going to get you to say these 4 things out loud. Now, remember, if I tell you this, I'm speaking from my neocortex to your neocortex. If I ask you this, I'm speaking from my neocortex to your reptilian brain. And then I can see that you'll send it to your neocortex for thinking, reason, and problem solving. You either get it or you don't. Remember, I said 100%.
Right.
So let me ask you this question. We just went through this information. You're going to get to take this home with you, but I'm going to make a copy. So tell me, where did we find your fascial imbalances, Dr. M?
I can't see the thing, but I'll say C at C1, and also you found it in the middle of my back.
Exactly. Now, how do I know that she's going to know that? Because she circled it and I'm pointing at it. That's how I know she's got it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to say, and what could that C1 issue be causing?
Right.
What could that be causing with what we just talked about?
Oh, the headaches and and the indigestion and the sinus problems. And
exactly. So these are where they are, these imbalances. This is what it could be causing. And then I'm going to just ask him probably what brought these on in the first place. Well, we just talked about it in the consultation. Now, number two is I'm going to ask you this. What do you think happened? Well, you can't see, but it doesn't matter. What do you think happens over time if we don't get these taken care of and we don't really resolve these? What do you think happens?
well, they're going to get worse and worse and get more symptoms.
I'd agree. Now, you'll notice I'm agreeing with you.
Right.
I'm agreeing with your story.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you, I'm asking you. It's all based on the right questions. The third one is this. So let me ask you this. If we were to really get this taken care of and resolve it, right? I'm using the R word. If we were to really get this taken care of and resolve it and show you ways to quit recreating it, how do you think you would feel?
I think I'd feel more vital and vibrant and healthier.
I agree. And do you think that it could help you with your headaches?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And what about your sinus problems?
It seems related.
I agree. I'd have to agree. And so what about your future? If we're no longer going to be creating these problems and it's not getting worse, we're resolving these. What about our future? What do we see for our future?
Well, I would see that I'm less limited in things I say no to because of the headaches and opportunities I close up from.
Absolutely. And really my goal is for you to have a better life. So let me ask you, do you think if we were to take care of these and show you ways not to recreate it, do you think that you could be healthier in 5 years than you are right now?
I can't see why not, actually.
Me too. And that's my goal for you. So with your neck pain, but also headaches and sinus problems and mid-back pain and indigestion and low back pain and coated tongue, stinky armpits, explosive diarrhea, is this just a neck problem or is this an overall health problem? What do you think?
Yeah, you've got a point there. It might all be related.
Yeah, I think it is. And that's it. I mean, that's literally what it takes. And then in the report of findings, we literally just ask them, where do you think you're at? Where do you want to get to? And then we just say, if that's what you want, I'm happy to help you get there. And then we show them how to get there. And if they just want to feel better, help them feel better. And if they want to get as much resolution as possible, help them do it. But regardless of how we practice, Bowen and chiropractic, Bowen and functional medicine, Bowen and naturopathy, Bowen, it doesn't matter. That's the umbrella of the tools we use to help people get healthy and stay healthy.
Yeah.
And it's all by understanding the neuroscience of communications that I'm not going to lecture. I'm just going to ask Socratic questions. There's just a series of questions you ask people to take them from here to there. Then you give them what they want, whatever it is.
Yeah. No, that's it's very well put out, like systematically. And it's funny, I came across my understanding of this through marketing, not through health. And it's like I've learned actually from creating a business a lot how to retrospectively look at our, creating the gap and helping people reach the goal they need to state and change the structure so that you're agreeing basically with them. And I think that's it's fascinating the way to hear it from somebody else, so clearly. And it's funny because I see too when people are in their healing process, I often use Chinese medicine to explain how, well, this makes sense then, and as in because they've told me something, and that's the engagement. That's how they feel empowered, and they're like they're in charge, and it's a beautiful shift. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
so
and just for fun, you
yeah,
can apply the neuroscience communications to anything. They absolutely apply it to marketing.
yes,
No question. I mean, it's the same thing. We're trying to help these people recognize they want this thing, so they buy it. We're trying to help these people recognize it's the exact same thing,
mhm, mhm.
right? And
Right.
it's so simple and it's so easy, but when we don't know it, we keep having the same problems. We have people that seem like they're with us, but they got to go home and think about it. Or they seem like they're happy and then they quit care. And we're scratching our head and we don't get why. And it's because they didn't get it.
Right.
And it really, it all comes down in the end to, if I can ask you the right questions,
Mhm.
you will come up to your truth on your own. And it
Yes.
won't be my truth, it'll be your truth. But I'm not trying to manipulate you to my truth. Really, whichever you choose
Right.
is fine.
Yeah.
I just need to help you find your truth. The problem is when you came in, you thought this is all I could do for you. Now that you know I could do this for you also, the question is, might you want more? And the answer is most people do want more. They
Mhm.
just didn't know they could get it from you.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 No, I think we lose so many patients who then need to look for the same answers somewhere else when we really, we're equipped to do it. And I really agree with what you're saying. And it is communications. It's the ability to listen, to reposition what they're saying directly to move them in their direction. We're here to serve. It literally is that way. It's anyway. Well, thank you. That was and you gave the link where people can find out more about you. I think it's also in your description.
Yeah, well, I don't think so, but it's the ohcsystem.com/MANON. Manon.
OHC, I'm going to repeat that.
Yeah, the OHC System.
System. Okay.
.com/MANON. And if you go there, you can check out this other very detailed webinar I do on this at no charge. You can choose either this or this, and I'll send it to you at no charge. Print out as many as you like forever. And if you like and you're really serious and you want to see how I can help you grow, you can get a 60-minute session with me where we can get clear about where you're at, where you want to get to, and if I might be the right guy to help.
Okay, great. I'm sure my whole community will super appreciate that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café with Dr. Manon. For more information, go to drmanonbolliger.com.